I'm so excited for this spa day. Candles lit, music on, hot tub warm and ready. And then my chronic hives come back. Again, in the middle of my spa day. What a wet blanket. Looks like another spell of itchy red skin. If you have chronic spontaneous urticaria or CSU, there is a different treatment option. Hives during my next spa day? Not if I can help it. Learn more at treatmyhives.com.
What was your thought process there? I mean, obviously, you kind of led into it a little bit, but I'm sure that was a pivotal moment for you where it's like, okay, I can do this and fail fast, or this is going to be something big. It became something big, but what was that moment like when you had to make that decision?
That's a good question. I mean, that was pretty early on. I think it was just around feeling like other people weren't doing it as well as we would and seeing that corners were being cut. So it was really around quality and ultimately feeling like, I mean, I think I knew too much. You know what I mean? I knew that if we build this industry and build this company, that it would be huge. I think we're still scratching the surface. I think the whole industry and all the competitors combined are scratching the surface of the potential of this industry. And
Hey, this is William Tincup and Ryan Leary. You are listening, hopefully watching, the Inside the C-Suite podcast. We have Nicole on from Globalization Partners, also known as GP. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. I'm excited for this one.
This is going to be fun.
For those that are watching, we're going to pick on your background now, Nicole.
As you should.
We totally thought those refrigerators.
I was jealous. I was literally jealous for like 10 minutes. I'm like, my wife would kill for those Sub-Zeros.
Yeah, not refrigerators.
Anyhow, they're Murphy beds. That makes it even more cool because I haven't seen a Murphy bed, especially a modern Murphy bed. So that's very cool. Anyhow, enough about that. Nicole, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
yeah, I'm Nicole Sahin. I'm the CEO and founder of Globalization Partners, also known as GP, as you said. And we built the world's most compliant SaaS automated global employment record with AI built throughout, which means we enable companies to hire anyone, anywhere, quickly and easily without having to deal with or manage HR, legal, and tax compliance associated with hiring people internationally. So
you don't do a global tech. You got that, but you don't do payroll. You do the compliance part, right?
You know what it is? There's a payroll component of it. It really confuses people, but let me just walk you through it. So, and actually we have some other products too, but the one that we're most known for at this point is it's called the Global Employer of Record platform. And what that means is if you wanted to hire somebody in the UK or China or Brazil, in the old days, before we started this company, companies would have to set up legal operations in each country. So you have to set up a company in that country, register it for taxes in that country, register it for payroll in country, set up benefits in that country, write an employment contract in that country. So in every country, companies are required to follow the compliance laws of doing business in that country. And so what we set up instead was we have our own companies in each country all over the globe, 180 countries. And whenever a company wants to hire an employee in any country, they go onto our software, they build an employment contract, they issue the offer letter. But instead of the offer letter and employment contract going out from their company, it goes out from our local company on the ground in country. So essentially the employee works for the client, but they're employed by us. And we do that in 180 countries. And it's mostly automated. Like there's a lot of software on top. There is a human component because
of course.
Things happen with your employees globally that require human touch. And we're proud to be able to support that. But in addition, what we've also built now, because we've built and automated a global, what is ultimately enables companies to plug into our global compliance infrastructure rather than building their own. Since we've built that across 180 countries and we've managed tens of thousands of employees all over the globe, we built an AI engine, which is ultimately, it's a SaaS product, an AI SaaS product. But it's like, if you want to write an employment contract, like take your U.S. employment contract and localize it for use in 50 states or 50 countries, you just upload it and it automatically comes out the way you would want it in all of those countries. It manages your compliance in all those different countries. And it's if I will say on behalf of my product team, I'm really proud of them because it's cutting edge level of AI. Like we're
proud
training
just listening.
Gia to like think like a lawyer.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh my God.
I'm proud of your team just listening to it. I'm
Thank you.
thinking as you're talking, I'm thinking, I mean, I've always known what GP does, but how did you come up with this, right? I mean, like, it seems so simple, right? Why hasn't anyone done this? Or I'm sure they've tried.
There is nothing about that that's simple, but yes.
Right. Well, the idea, let me rephrase.
Yeah.
The idea is simple in theory, but like, what did you just wake up one day and say, we need to be in 180 countries and we need to do this for companies?
That's exactly it. It sounds really simple, but the level of complexity and nuance under the hood is insane. I used to help before I started this company. I helped start another company, which was advising companies how to do business all over the globe. And usually the trigger point was, we got to hire we're hiring a salesperson in the UK. We're hiring a team in India. We're hiring somebody to represent us in Brazil. And it was the same thing. The answer is always the same over and over again. It was, we'll help you set up a company in that country. We'll help you set up HR system in that country. We'll help you set up tax and accounting in that country.
Which is a huge
so
cost.
Complicated.
Yeah.
And it would take 6 to 12 months to get set up in one country. Usually companies are expanding all over the globe really quickly.
Right.
They want to globalize their company. They're on a mission to capture the market or hire the best talent. They're not thinking, that's not how companies work. Like, you just want to hire people wherever they are. And so there were some companies doing employer of record platform in like this country or that country. And I just thought this needs to be like globalized, matured, like actually to meet the needs of an American public company, and software has to be built on top to automate it. And what I found after digging in a little bit, at first I thought we could just subcontract to smaller companies around the world. But what I found out really quickly is that they weren't very compliant, and that was never going to be a scalable solution. So then it was like, the next step was, okay, now we need to go build our own infrastructure around the globe to make it really solid. And we've been on a mission of building this global infrastructure and software automation on top. It's been 13 years. I will say at the end of 2025, we will be completely automated with agentic AI throughout the entire platform, with the mission of like being able to, go all the way through the signing a sales contract to onboarding an employee anywhere without talking to anybody. Now, that said, there is always going to be a human element too, like, to some of this. In some cases. So we're very proud of our HR ops team on the ground being very competent and compliant. So it took a long time, basically. But we're here now. We'll do about $350 million a year in revenue this year. We're a SaaS company with traditional SaaS metrics. I don't know what else to say. It's about 1,100 people.
What else can you say?
Is there, after 180 countries, do you get requests for other new countries, or not new countries,
We're doing business
countries?
Everywhere you can do business without running into like sanctions, basically.
Right. The State Department has a list, I'm assuming, of places we can't be.
Yeah.
All right, let's go backwards. First of all fantastic. We'll definitely come back to it.
Thank you.
Let's go back to like high school or college. What was your dream? What did you want to? I'm assuming this wasn't maybe the specific dream.
Assume. I mean,
isn't that funny? Yeah, I know.
Never know.
I grew in the Midwest, and at that time, like where I lived specifically, it was like the biggest thing you could aspire to was being like a professor or a lawyer. If education was like the most important thing. And I started traveling in college, and I wanted to work. I thought I would either work in international development work, which remains important to me, or anthropology, like the study of people everywhere. And to make a long story short, I had two stops along the way. I thought that I wanted to be an anthropologist at first. I studied with an anthropologist in college and applied to a PhD program. And to strengthen my application for the PhD program, I went and lived with the Hmong indigenous group in the Northern Highlands of Guatemala. I was like 21 or 22, studying with some shamans there. To make a long story short, after a few months, I basically, like, I was starving. First of all, I was vegetarian and like tying my pants on belt, a rope that I bought in the farmer's market, and just like quite miserable. And I just realized one day, I was like, I don't think it's who I am ultimately to want to learn language nobody's ever heard of, to be very academic. And I realized like I'm more of a like get stuff done type person. And so it was really a heartache moment to realize like that I wasn't the person I thought I was. And I left the little village and went and did something else, and ultimately found my way to graduate school. At first, I thought I wanted to run nonprofit administration, like do international development work. But pretty quickly, I got frustrated with the program and I thought, I don't need to run a budget. I need to like know how to run financials. And also I was frustrated with fundraising. I felt like it's a lot easier to make money than it is to ask people for money. And just had another crisis of identity when I realized, oh my God, I need to get an MBA.
Were you already in your...
It doesn't have to be evil and
No. Were you already in your master's program for nonprofit?
Yeah, I had just started it. Yeah.
Where were you at? Were you at IU?
Middlebury Institute of International Studies.
Okay.
Yeah.
You and I have very similar paths. Because I did an art history degree, then an MA in Native American Studies, Native American art, because I thought I wanted to be a curator. Mm-hmm. Then I also thought I wanted to run a nonprofit. I got my MBA, also a degree in nonprofit management. Only to find out, and I did internships at Smithsonian and National Park Service and all that type of stuff, only to find out they don't make a lot of money. Not that money drives everything, totally, like I get it. However, like the person that runs the person that ran the National Museum of Native American made like $150,000. This is like the pinnacle of... So imagine being a curator at a regular museum, etc. It's a status thing. That's fantastic. Well, what'd you do after you got out? So you were recruited by 100 different people. What did it?
Not exactly, but I was adamant that I was going to work for a man in a dream. I met somebody who was like wanting to build a consulting firm, and I was the fifth person on board. Number 2 and 3 being his wife worked for him, and he had an assistant. And I was basically like, I'm going to work for you doing what you're doing. And within 6 weeks, it was like I was traveling to China, setting up companies for high growth companies in the Silicon Valley.
Oh my God, that is so cool. Where'd you go to B school?
The Middlebury Institute of International Studies.
Okay. Got it. So once you got out, you went into consulting. Yep. And the consulting just so happened to be international expansion.
Well, that's what I wanted to do. And so I met somebody who was doing that and basically like just jumped on board with him and was like, I'll do whatever it takes. And luckily he took a chance on me, as these things sometimes happen. And we built that company from 5 people to about 200 in the 6 years that I was there. And ultimately that sold to a third party. But when I left, it was there for about 6 years, helped build the company. I totally loved it. We had a great time. We were advising all the Silicon Valley high growth companies in the early 2000s. And I just realized, like, I just thought I had a better idea for how to do it. I pitched it to my boss, and he didn't think it was a go. So I left. I waited out my non-compete agreement, and then started GP exactly 1 year and 1 day after leaving that company. I'm grateful to that founder. I've learned so much there. Yeah, but every entrepreneur has their appetite for what they want to do.
And again, you pitching him the idea, and it probably sounded like a great idea, but he already had kind of
what he wanted to do. Yeah. And that was that's a good business too, honestly. It's just there. And there's a lot of companies in parallel spaces to ours that don't want to touch this industry. They think it's, that's right. First of all, we have a lot of competitors now. There's dozens of competitors doing what we do. Of course, we think we're the best. Right. But like basically, there's a lot of companies doing this, but there's also a lot of companies that haven't wanted to come anywhere near what we do because of the legal risk. It sounds really scary. Basically, it sounds like I think it sounds overwhelming to a lot of companies.
And truth be told, it is because of the compliance. Compliance in Ghana all of a sudden can change.
Totally.
Somebody has to keep track of that.
Indeed. And now that's what our AI product's going to do. That we're really excited about, GPGF. So that's fantastic. Even if companies aren't using our employer of record platform, like Coca-Cola could use our platform and it'll say, hey, all these employment contracts are out of date with compliance. There's an update here, which as far as we know, nobody's built that yet. So we're excited about it.
It's funny. I got asked this probably 10 years ago now about global payroll. So I was on a panel at a conference. And somebody said, what do you got for global payroll? I'm like, listen, there's like 4 to 5 players and they all have different-ish models. Mm-hmm. There's not a standard, and then all of a sudden we blink, and there is a lot of people that are trying to tackle that, still in different ways, not all in the same exact way.
Yeah,
I think the way you've done it is more sustainable long term because you've got an entity in those.
Yeah,
you're not using a local partner. You're not doing it centralized. You're doing it in a way that a lot of folks. It's hard. The way you've built it is a natural barrier to entry. So that, yes, you do have competitors, But once you dig into the market of how they get pay, if you will, to someone or compliance to someone is different. The route in which
the level of, I mean, I think for us, like I wanted to build our own platform in each country so I would know the compliance but now the reason I think that sets us ahead and has built a big moat is because we own the data. So we know it's compliant all the way through that. So for that reason, all the biggest payroll companies in the world are choosing us as their partner to embed with. And then the thing is if you're outsourcing or subcontracting to third parties, you just don't own the data. You don't really know what happens in that final mile. So you can't really build software or scalability on top. So anyway, we kind of took the slower route of building all the infrastructure first, but that makes the software and the AI and the data management possible in the long run. So it's like a little bit of a slowdown to speed up. And now, it's fast.
Good decision now that you made that decision. But back then, let's dig into that a little bit. What was your thought process there? I mean, obviously, you kind of led into it a little bit, but I'm sure that was a pivotal moment for you where it's like, okay, I can do this and fail fast, or this is going to be something big. It became something big to own your own data and build it yourself. But what was that moment like when you had to make that decision?
That's a good question. I mean, that was pretty early on. I think it was just around feeling like other people weren't doing it as well as we would and seeing that corners were being cut. So it was really around quality and ultimately feeling like, I mean, I think I knew too much, you know what I mean? Because of my background advising customers what was going on, how to manage their international operations, that when our third-party partners in different countries were cutting corners, it was just like, it wasn't a level of lack of quality that I was comfortable with. And I knew that if we build this industry and build this company, that it would be huge. I think we're still scratching the surface. I think the whole industry and all the competitors combined are scratching the surface of the potential of this industry. And so if you don't build it right and build it well, there's just too much risk. I mean, and even now, because there's a lot of competitors who've taken some shortcuts, got a lot of venture funding, and they're like, we'll sell it and then we'll build it, which I understand the mentality, but, we're talking to governments in different countries all the time that are raising red flags about the industry overall. And we actually built a nonprofit industry, like a industry collaboration group that could go and negotiate with the governments and kind of agree on standards with different government bodies together, because now it's starting to capture their attention. So the governments are like, you're employing our people, you're responsible for them. We want to make sure it's done well and done right. So as long as it's done well and it's done right, it seems to be okay. It's just when, employment protection has been negotiated on a country by country, state by state basis all over the globe. And the reason it's so important is because it's the people. It's how do you protect people? So yeah, all of those rights have to be honored.
And Ryan, this is where her anthropology background comes into play. So the study of people, you understand the differences and the nuances from one place to another, and there's a different cultural norm or mores that exists in one place than it exists here.
Yeah.
And here being like the 11 different parts of the United States. Like people, I mean, it's
fun. I mean, that's what's fun about it, I think, is like in the change and kind of the global work culture since we started to now. I mean, it used to be when we talked to a client about hiring somebody in Hong Kong, it was like talking to them about hiring somebody on the moon. And now it's like, people are used to working across borders, across boundaries, but then there's also a nice collaboration, more open-mindedness, as the world's become a smaller place and people become used to working with people everywhere. And they get used to the nuance. It's sweet, Yeah.
Did COVID speed things up, or did it change people's attitude, or did it have any type of impact?
I mean, that's what it did. It sped things up, because I think pretty quickly, once everybody got into COVID and they realized that remote work was going to work, that everybody didn't have to live within a 100-mile radius of the office or 50-mile radius of the office. First, they had to adjust to that. But then once they did, it was like, oh my God, why are we limiting ourselves to where people live? And we can just hire anyone anywhere. Yeah, people are much more open. It's easier. People are used to remote work. And honestly, like when I meet somebody who has an Indian accent who's working with us remotely, I don't know where they live. They could be in Boston. They could be in Bangalore. And like, it doesn't matter. I might ask out of curiosity and just to know a little bit more about them. But so it's accelerated the pace of global hiring. It's also accelerated, I think it's almost like not like not reverse immigration, but the ability for people to stay in their home country and still accomplish their highest aspirations, which is really great to see. The other thing it's accelerated is the leveling out of the global playing field in terms of salaries. So somebody who can command a Silicon Valley salary might no longer be in the Silicon Valley. In fact, they might be somewhere that's relatively low cost, but they have the experience, background, and skill set of an engineer in the Silicon Valley. If you think about the impact of that from a socioeconomic perspective and buying power perspective all over the globe, it's pretty epic.
And then you have the other side of that where employers don't want to pay the salary because they're not in that location.
Which is insane. It's talent, it's outcomes, it's skills. I don't believe in localized pay or local pay that's based on location. So I just fundamentally have difficulty with it. It's just skills. It's outcomes that you're buying. It doesn't matter if they're in Guatemala or in Topeka. It's still the same. So I know the counter argument to that pretty well.
Well, the world's catching up with you, William. So
good.
I mean, it's interesting to watch the evolution for sure.
Yeah. So I got to go back to the beginning of starting the business because I'm fascinated to get your story and your take on being a female entrepreneur and starting a gig, starting a new business. What was that like then, and what did you learn about the process?
Yeah, so I was headquartered in Boston, or I was living in Boston at the time, and by design. And in terms of being a woman in business, the one thing I did is I did cut my hair quite short because I have having long blonde hair as an early 30-year-old woman, I didn't think it helped me add credibility. So it's just something I processed. I was like, okay, I need to look a little more
legally blonde,
more intense. Anyway,
too funny.
So anyway, I did that, which was fun for a little while anyway. But honestly, I think, yes, I've had people who have mindsets that are a little challenging to work around. But I think the good thing is when you're an entrepreneur, you can just work around it because you're the boss. You get to say who goes and what goes and how everything goes down.
Yeah.
So
if
all's
an
well that
investor,
ends well.
if you don't click with an investor for whatever reason, you don't have to take their money.
That's true. And I have found that there's usually chemistry with the people that you want to work with and that there's a natural affinity. So investors don't only have money, they also have, there's an affinity there, and it's really important, I think, to pay attention to who you want to work with.
Yeah.
100%.
So I want to talk a little bit about, this kind of gets us into this around building high-performing teams.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've built teams, and
yes,
your team clearly has been doing well. What's your take on that? How do you build, what do you look for as you're building your executive team or the team that's going to surround you?
From a human perspective, building and rebuilding my team has been the greatest cause of joy, learning, personal growth, and trial and tribulation of my career. If I were just building software and doing stuff,
that's easy.
That's easy. It's the human part that is tears your heart out because the people that you start your company with are unlikely to be, and it is a all hands on deck love affair with someone else's mind, gut, passion, grit. But there becomes a point where those people are no longer the right people to lead that group.
You outgrow them.
Yep. And you have to have hard conversations that are often absolutely heartbreaking on both sides and take a vast amount of courage and it's hard. So and bringing other people in. What I have found is that to always hire the best possible people I can find and make sure they're aligned, not only from an intellectual perspective, but from a cultural perspective, work as much as possible with those people and just work to the maximum of everybody's benefit. But if there's ever a time for a hard conversation, to just have it. It's hard. It's like level 10 therapy of growth. You guys know this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not knowing you all that well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you have pretty exacting standards. Am I way off?
I'm not going to let somebody work for me who's not doing the job.
I love that because I and you see this as we do the show a lot, right? So you see the people that are super successful, they're humble, generally speaking, and they have standards. And people either can meet those standards, rise to those standards, or they can't. And if they can't, then they either try to find a way to train them up or move them around or whatever, but they've got standards.
Yeah. And there's a clear, it's a good point, because I think there's a clear point. If we went back through all the conversations we've had, you've got mostly successful, but then you have successful, right? There's a line, and I feel like at that line, and Nicole, similar to what you said, they're hard conversations, but they're able to have the conversation. Very direct, right? Bedside manner doesn't really matter to them. It's, this is what it is. This is how it's going to have to be. Friends or not, co-founders or not, they have those conversations and they understand it's time to move on. Whereas some of the others that were successful in their own right, they haven't gotten to that super successful level.
And that's the thing, is that I think for me personally, why it has been such a growth edge is because I do care about people so much.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, it's the joy of the business. I got into this because I care about people, and so to hold that with compassion and kindness while also just being exacting and realistic in the voice of the business is the growth edge. But I would imagine, since there's a lot of HR listeners on this show and executives, like that's what they're trying to do too. Both do what's right for the business and do what's right by and for the people. So certainly something I would think
it's so hard for them to do.
It's hard.
So who thrives around you? What type of people?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Thank you.
Personalities, etc. Who thrives?
From an executive standpoint, people who are clear, direct communicators who get stuff done. Are considerate of their teams, but are also able to make executive data-based decisions.
And you're using the stuff word as a PG thing. I'm assuming there is a not safe for work version of the get stuff done.
Oh, yeah.
Part of that. Okay, good.
Yeah. We actually had a VP of getting shit done at one point.
Oh, Nicole, funny story here. IBM acquired the company that I was working for, Connexa, eons ago. I had the title at Connexa, literally it was VP of getting shit done. This was on my LinkedIn profile, right? Well, we're about a year into IBM at this point, so it was around 2012, 2013 timeframe. And I got called into the office. And I thought, all right, it was a joke. I'll take it down. It's been there for eons. No, they actually had another guy that called me in. It was VP of getting shit done. That was his title internally. So he used it as his public title. And he asked me, and he's like, I know it's a joke, but can you take it down? Like, that's how they knew him. It was VP of getting shit done. And I didn't take it down. I wanted the title too.
He said.
I first of all, I love that you have somebody that's done that role. It's you're if we're talking about football, the European football, if you will, there's a rover that plays in between the forwards and the halfbacks, and they just go wherever they are needed. If it's back towards the goal, great. If it's forward offensively, they go, and they're called a rover.
Wow.
And it's because that's what they do. They don't have a set place. They place themselves wherever they feel like they need to. And I think you got to have a gal or a guy that's just, they don't, you might have a special project that you've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, you haven't checked it off the list yet. You can then bring that person in and go, this is a pet project. I get it. Anyhow. And then they can go get it done.
Totally.
That's awesome. I wish everybody had that. That's just genius. Is there anything in personalities that doesn't jive with you? Like, do you just don't?
Yeah, just the basic things that probably are troublesome for anyone, but like wishy-washy doesn't work for an executive. Lack of communication or lack of being considerate. If somebody's really, nice. That's a challenge, because I want people to be able to duke it out and like have a direct conversation, and like I don't even mind if they argue a little bit and like it, but I don't want people like literally throwing down or afraid of having a difficult conversation with someone because it's just going to be too big of a deal. So
right, that just cut out
doesn't work. Yeah,
it just cut out about 80% of men. So just getting consideration and empathy, and then that's not a high thing on the list. Ryan, I'm sorry, you had a question.
Yeah, so I got a question around reactions. So something's not going right. What is your first reaction? Do you try to fix it? What do you do?
That's great.
For me personally, I I try to see what's going on and understand what's going on, and usually let the team resolve it. If I lose confidence in the team that the team is not going to be able to solve it, that's a different problem. If like, I guess I'm looking for the source of the problem. Is this a problem that the team can fix? Let them fix it. And what's the plan? I'm looking for a project plan and deliverables to make sure, okay, you said you could fix it and this was the solution, and here's how you're going to fix it with a project plan. And then I'm looking for them to hit deliverables. Or if I just don't think the team can fix it, I mean, unfortunately, like when you don't have faith in the team, it's kind of like you kind of have to dig in yourself, dig in there, get it done. But that's also a sign to start recruiting and find the right people who can fix the job.
Right. Has it always been that way for you? Or I mean, I'm sure you've evolved and grown, right, over the years. But when did that change? When did you say, you know what, I can't go in and fix these problems anymore. I need people to do this.
Well, I didn't learn that if it's a problem that it took a while to learn that. Like either this is a problem that the team can fix, or if the team can't seem to fix it, I have a problem with the team. So it took time to learn that, because there were probably in the early days, I might just let the team spin, try to fix it, throw other people at it, have my COO jump in and do it. And then finally, I just realized, like, after a while, probably like, I don't know if it's like the 200 million mark or so. First of all, that's a transition point of needing to change out your executives. Something I've learned, it's like a traditional investor thing. Right. Like when you get to 50 million, you need to change your investors. When you get to 200 million, it's a different group of executives, which is, again, it's like you're changing out your whole team. And it's not like somebody just like taps you on the shoulder and says, today's the day to change out your whole team. It's like you're having troubles in product. You can't get the marketing to work. The revenue person's going bananas, it's just like, and it's one after another. And then you're like, oh, that's that 200 million mark. Like I had to change.
And they're not wrong, by the way, because what it takes to go from 200 to 500, it's a different
category.
That's a different person.
And what I also found out, just to circle back to the VP of getting shit done, there's no longer room for that person when you get to like over the 250 million, because at that point, you should have a pretty good group of executives who are all high functioning and able to talk to each other. And then if you have the extra person running around, they're just creating havoc. So it's been a wild ride. I've learned a lot along the way.
It's time to write a book.
Days I used to jump in and solve everything and be the person who was just like massive force of like pushing to get a bunch of things done.
Is it easier now to manage everything that you do, or was it easier then when you could step in?
That's a good question. I think it's a lot easier now because I have executives who are competent. I have people who can jump in and get things done. And I have experience. What else? The company's stable. You know what I mean? Like that says a lot. Like it's not like we're scrappy worrying about, the next thing that could happen. But I really loved the intensity and the growth and the fervor of the early days was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The problems now are bigger though. The problems now are bigger. So when it hits the fan, it's a more like, it's not a simple fix usually.
It's a board meeting. Great.
It's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. Gets to a certain DEF CON and all of a sudden it's like the board needs to meet. Great. Okay. That's fun.
Yeah.
How did you pick your board members? If you can reveal.
Yeah, sure. The board members are, well, let's see. Two investors are two earliest investors who are amazing, and one of them was
stayed with you.
Wow. Yep. And one of them was a close friend of mine. We were in a YPO forum together, and I flirted with the idea of getting investors, and then said, I don't want to get investors. My idea at the time was all these people are jerks. All they care about is money, and I don't need investors. 100%. But he knew I really believed in the company, and he put together an investment with some of his friends, and they invested in the company together, and they've been a great board.
And they've stayed with you, or he stayed with you the whole time.
Yeah.
And you don't hear about that often. Most of them get switched out.
Oh, interesting. No, they're tightly linked in with the business and have been great to work with.
Oh my God.
But it does matter. Like I've had their support in hard moments. Like it's like, hey, this is what's going on. And they're like, we got you. And it's like, we believe in you. Thanks for picking it up. Thanks for doing the hard thing. Like that, it matters.
Oh yeah. Especially when some of the pivots aren't obvious. They're obvious to you, but they might not be obvious to everyone else.
Yeah.
Those are usually when boards really don't understand.
Yeah.
Because they're not necessarily industry people. They're financial and otherwise, and so they don't understand the pivot. You see it clearly as day. You know exactly what has to happen. They might not see it, so now you got to go sell the idea, which happens more at other companies than it seems like it does at yours.
They're usually they're right about a lot of things too, though, and they have a different type of wisdom, like the financial background and like how all that works. To them, it's really obvious, and there's like financial instruments and different types of investors and things like that. Though, yeah, it's helpful. So anyway,
go ahead,
it's
Ryan.
an interesting, an interesting relationship, you know.
Yeah. So Nicole, final question from me is: when you need advice, when you're stuck, you need something to kind of kick you over the edge, who do you look to?
You know, it's funny. I have my first employee. Her name's Melissa Cooper, and she's now on the board. She's my board appointee. She was my first employee. She started as an account manager. She was my work soulmate at the previous company. You know, instead of a work wife, we said it's work soulmate. Because we worked at multiple companies together. She made it all the way up to being our COO with like that 250 million revenue, 300 million. I never needed to switch her out, and she was running the whole company. She moved on from GP about a year ago. She was at the point where, first of all, it made sense for us to put operations under product. We don't need two separate teams.
Right.
And I call her because she knows she has a very quick, like she'll just listen and she gets right to it. And she's just like, Nicole, from what you're telling me, it's like, you already know what you need to do. And it's this. And it's like, oh my God, you're so right. It's amazing. So she's my person.
Oh my God, that's great. Advice you'd give your younger self. So advice you'd give yourself when you were just starting your company, what would you change or what would you emphasize, etc.?
I mean, I think it's always just follow your intuition, because every time I have not followed my intuition, I wished I would have, and it's always right. So if you can just get grounded and get like really clear on what's like here, then we know what needs to be done. But sometimes we don't want to listen because whatever our intuition is telling us to do is hard.
Scary. Yeah.
It's scary.
Well, Nicole, you've been absolutely amazing. Congratulations on all the success, and thank you for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom with us and our audience.